All right, I want to welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining. For anyone that is here with me today, thank you for being here. I'm going to get it started. So, for today, I've prepared for you a little workshop about nutrition. And why it really started was because one of my clients, started asking me about nutrition. And it was really to the point where she was starting to eat very, very little and didn't understand the food at all. And I thought there was really a good concept now where everyone knew about nutrition and what they should be eating, that the education is there. But I found out that it's really, really still not there. So with that, I decided to put on this workshop. So this is the first one ever, but I'm sure I will have more of those as I go. I know it's probably really difficult time as well. I know it's Saturday, middle of the day, and we also have a Mother's Day weekend, but I really wanted to try it out and put it out there for everyone. So with that, I'm going to get it started. What we are going to cover today, it's ultimately some basic things about nutrition, macros. We're going to look at how to read your nutrition labels and also how you can set your own personal goal. So, with that, I want to start number one, why do people fail? So, the mindset and the knowledge gap that there is that really holds most people back. There are a few things that I see why most diets and most fitness goals fail. So, the first thing is that there is no plan and there's no results. You are starting without understanding any calories or macros whatsoever. You are thinking that you're eating healthy, but you have no knowledge at all. There's no consistency. You are sometimes skipping meals and then binging later, which I see a lot in people that are working. You are at work all day and you are not able to stop and eat lunch. And then at night, it's just let's loose. The next one is the fear and misinformation. So the fear of eating more, that if you eat more, you're gonna get fat. And that's myth. You just need to eat the right nutrition. The fear that lifting will make you look bulky. That also doesn't happen. If you want to look bulky like a bodybuilder, there is a lot more that goes into it than just lifting. So you are not going to get bulky. I promise you that. The next one is under eating, and that's the number one trap. Skipping meals. There's no energy to train properly. Body holds onto fat when it feels starved. So if you're starving all day and then you start eating, your body will naturally absorb all of that and put it into reserve and store it. So then you will get fat if you're not consistent and if you're not timing your meals. Zero fuel, so there is no energy. And then also, if you don't fuel your body properly, there's no way that you can build any muscle and can be strong. The fix starts here. So learn your body's real calories, what you need to eat, and that it's called basal metabolic rate, BMR. And that really tells you how many calories is your body burning when you're doing nothing, just with your heart muscle working. There is a certain amount of calories that every human burns throughout the day without even lifting a finger. Then understand the macros and how to hit them daily. That is very important. It's not really about just the calories, but it's what type of calories you're putting in and what type of food. So if you want to have the best physique, you have to also include the best food. The best fuel needs to go in your body to get the best result. Love your body, fuel it, and then you'll transform it. Um, there is no way that anyone can outwork a bad diet, even if they use whatever peptides and whatever supplements, it just cannot be done without the work and without the proper nutrition. And really 80% of your results of your physique comes from eating. It doesn't come from the gym. The gym, you will get some results, but if your nutrition is not dialed in, you're not going to get nowhere near where you want to be. All right, so what are the macros? So macros are pretty much divided into three main categories, and that is protein, that is carbs, that is fat. That is what they are, those three main ones. So if we look at them a little bit closely, so protein, the number one, so that is the most important one for humans, for our health, for our muscle, for us to stay strong, for our bone density. But with protein, 1 gram of protein will equal 4 calories. The good targeted goal is to take 1 gram of protein per pound of your body weight. So if you're 130 pounds, then you would want to eat 130 grams of protein every day. If you're 160 pounds, then you would want to eat 160 grams of protein every day. So that's the formula that you use. It's very easy to remember. It's right there in the midline of what is recommended through science and the experts. And it's a really good goal if you're trying to stay lean and have a good physique. So having protein will build and repair muscle tissue. It helps you feel full longer as well. If you notice, if you eat just like a candy, then half an hour later you're hungrier. But if you eat like a good balanced meal, and especially with protein, you are going to feel fuller longer for 3-4 hours. Every meal needs to have protein. So each one of your meals that you have throughout the day should have some protein in it. Great sources of protein is chicken, fish, eggs, Greek yogurt, whey protein, turkey, tuna, or cottage cheese. All right, so that's for protein. The next one is carbs. So carb is also 4 calories for 1 gram. Carbs are our primary energy source for our brain and for our muscle. So if you're doing, or if you ever done a low carb diet, then I'm sure that you felt very sluggish, like you had no energy. Or one of the popular diets is also, it's called Atkins diet, where you switch, where your primary source is fat. And on that diet, though, you don't eat any carbs whatsoever. You cannot eat carbs. And you feel horrible. You feel like you don't have energy. So carbs should not be, in my belief, should not be eliminated, but you should use them properly and smart, because you need them for your energy. That's what your body is fueled on. There are some complex carbs and also simple carbs. The complex carb are harder to process, so they're slow, and then simple are a little bit faster. So that's going to be your difference, for example, between brown rice and white rice. So why is brown rice better for you? It's because it takes your body longer to break it down. That means it has to work harder. So that's better for us. Some of the other complex carbs are oats, sweet potatoes, or anything really whole wheat. With the simple carbs, that's wheat rice, fruit that can be used. They're really great for pre-workout energy. So right before you go work out, you have that and you get that high glycogen spin. So you'll have a lot of energy during your workout. Use your carbs smart. So have more carbs on your training days. And on the days that you don't go to the gym, eat a little bit less of carbs, since your body is burning less and it needs less energy. All right, the last macronutrient is fats. So fats are actually 9 calories for 1 gram, and the recommended amount for day, it's 30% of your total calorie intake. So I'm going to show you in a little bit how you can calculate your total caloric intake, and we're going to take 30% of that, and that's going to be your set amount of fat for the day. Fat, you want to keep consistent. You just want to make sure that you use the right sources and it's healthy fats for you. Fat is very important and it should not be eliminated from your diet completely. There are some omega 3s, omega 6. It is great. Fat is important for your hormone regulation and also for your brain health. Some of the great sources of fat is salmon, avocado, nuts, olive oil, egg whites. And it's a really good practice to eat your fat at night. So if you eat fat at night, then you're going to feel fuller because fat has more calories in general. So you're going to stay full throughout the whole night that you sleep. So you're not going to get hungry. So ultimately, the numbers to remember is that protein is 4 calories, carbs are 4 calories, and fats are 9 calories for 1 gram. Those are the numbers that you can memorize. All right, so let's circle back to the fats and let's talk a little bit about what are some good fats and what are some bad fats and why do you need them. So not all fats are equal. Good fats, so you want to keep these. Those are your omega 3s, the unsaturated fat. It reduces inflammation. It's great for brain and heart health. Some sources are salmon, sardines, walnuts, chia seeds, and flax seeds. For your omega 6, unsaturated as well, that's great for hormone regulation, cell membrane health, and some of the sources that you can find this in, it's sunflower oil, almonds, avocado, and olive oil. Some of the bad fats that you want to eliminate are these. Those are the trans fats, hydrogenated oils, raised bad cholesterol, lowers the good cholesterol. It will increase your inflammation and heart disease risk. So if you notice, if you eat like a burger with fries and the next day you wake up and you feel all swollen, it's because of that, because of the fat, and also part of it is all the salt in there. But that's where it comes from, is from the trans fats. It can be found in, like I said, fried fast food, margarine, packaged pastries. Label trick that you can see that they label it instead of trans fat. You can see sometimes on the labels partially hydrogenated oil. That's the same as trans fat. You want to stay away from that. And then we have some that are moderate. So those are your saturated fats, and you want to limit those. So you don't have to completely eliminate those. You want to keep some of them in, but you want to be cautious. Those can be found in red meat, in butter, in full fat dairy, coconut oil. So as I said, use in moderation, but don't overdo it. The strategic timing with fat is really to use it at night. 1 gram of fat will equal 9 calories. It digests slowly and it will keep you full throughout the night. Best night meals: salmon, steak, whole egg, avocado, or veggies. All right, next part we have that is also really important with nutrition, and that it's fiber and hydration. So this is very overlooked part where, yes, we know we have to drink, but it's so crucial. If you don't drink enough water, nothing's going to process properly. And fiber, it's a great trick that can really make everything else go smooth, and you can save some calories on your carbs. So, why fiber and water are non negotiable? Why does fiber matter? So fiber will slow your sugar. It will help with your insulin levels. It helps with you to feel full longer. It will support your gut health, and it reduces cravings. The best sources for fiber are beans, lentils, brown rice, oats, broccoli, spinach, berries, apples, nuts, flax seeds. So those are really great. And chia seeds are also great. How fiber helps your goals. Protein, fiber, you will feel fuller for longer time. It's easier to stay on track where you don't have cravings. Slow carb digesting, so steadier energy and you have no crashes. So you're not going to be hungry again in 30 minutes. It will help you prevent overeating and cravings that set you back. High fiber foods often lower in calories naturally because it will take out some of your carbs if you use a lot of fiber. Hydration. So, hydration is the second part that's really important. So, your daily goal is to have a minimum of 1 gallon of water a day, which is about 128 ounces per day. You want to drink it evenly throughout the day, starting with maybe one big glass of water in the morning. On your training days, you sweat more, so you want to drink maybe even a little bit more on those days. Try to eliminate coffee and tea just because they are natural diuretics and they will get rid of some of your water. Drink maximum of 36 ounces daily, and also be careful with all the energy drinks out there because they have caffeine as well. So all caffeinated drinks should be about 36 ounces a day at the most. So why does water really matter? Dehydration mimics hunger. You eat more than you need. Water will flush out metabolism from your body. Muscles are made out of 75% of water. Hydration will get you a better performance. Cut out the soda, even the diet soda. It disrupts your metabolism. It's not good and it's full of sodium. Use healthy alternatives like Crystal Light, things that have stevia, or or monk fruit products. If you have a high protein and high fiber, you will see better results in general. All right, let's dive in a little bit into nutrition labels and how exactly can you read it and to know what you're putting in your body. So here's an example of a nutrition label. So here in US, this is what we have on a nutrition label for my friends from Czech. Okay, so on the nutrition label, number one thing is that you always want to check the serving size. A lot of the products, you look at it and you think it's just for the whole package, but it's not. It's just for the serving. It could be a third of the package. So check the serving. Look at the calories, total energy per serving. This is what you track against your daily goal. Know your numbers before you eat it. So look at the label when you're shopping for something at the store. Compare it to where maybe you look at one product and the other product, and one has 15 grams of trans fat and one has zero trans fat and only 5 saturated fat. So that's the one you want to pick. And that's how you compare things at the store. Or you look at something and you see, okay, this thing is the same, but this one has a more protein. That's the one that I want. If I'm looking at it from carbs, I'm trying to find out which one has the lower carb count, but then I want to look at the one that has the highest fiber. If it's the highest fiber and the carbs are pretty low, I'm going to take that one. But always compare those nutrition labels and look at it. The least trans fat kind of lower on carbs, high fiber, and the most protein is what you want there. That's the product that you want. Fat, look at the saturated fat, limited. Trans fat must always be at 0. That's where you want to be if you really want a healthy product. Healthy fats looks like olive oil and avocados are fine. You will see a lot of products out there where it will say, this is a sugar-free or fat-free and those things, but don't believe that. Don't believe the label that says this is high in protein. Read it. They will put on packages that it's high in protein, yet it will have 7 grams. So read the package, turn it around, and compare it. For carbs and fiber, so net carbs, that's what I mentioned earlier. If you have fiber there, so to get net carbs, you take total carbs and you minus the fiber from there. So on our example here, we have 37 carbs and then the fiber it's 4. So your net carbs would only be 33 because you'll get rid of the fiber. You're not going to digest it. And then protein. So your goal is to aim about 25 to 35 grams of protein per meal. That will be your goal. All right, so those are the nutrition labels. So again, just compare the product at the store, turn it around, and compare those items. Okay, so next, let's look at how to set your own personal macros. How do we as trainers set your macros for your goals? So this is how we do it. So the formula for protein is fixed. With the protein, the formula is 1 gram per pound of body weight. You always want to have protein high because it will preserve and build your muscle. Fat is also going to be fixed. So fat is going to be 30% of your total calorie intake. We need to keep the healthy fat in for our hormone health, for our brain function, and our satiety. And lastly, carbs. So carbs will be whatever calories remain. So this number will move, and this is where the goal is control. So typically protein stays at something, fat stays in something, and then the carbs will determine how many based on your goals. So you will adjust your carbs to hit your goal. If you're trying to lose weight, then you want to be in the caloric deficit. So you want to have your carbs lower, fewer calories that will burn your stored body fat. If you want to maintain, then you want to keep your carbs moderate. Calories should match your total daily energy expenditure, which is TDEE. That is how much you burn. If you want to maintain, then you eat the same as you burn. Makes sense. If you want to gain or build muscle, then you want to have your carbs higher and your calories higher than what you burn throughout the day. So then you build. But when you're trying to build, you also need to make sure that you're fueling your body with the right nutrition. You cannot be eating French fries and cakes and expect for your muscle to grow. It's not going to grow from that. You need to have the right protein and the right carbs to get to your results. So with that, let's set up. Let me show you how you can calculate your basal metabolic rate and then your total daily energy expenditure. So this is pretty much calculating for you, for yourself, how much your body is going to burn. So if you want to know, hey, how much do I burn? How much is it? How much? So here is what we go through. There are some steps. So if you're here with me, grab a pen and paper and write this down so you can have this calculated for you. So step 1 to calculate your basal metabolic rate If you are female, then there is a one method in the purple square here. And if you're a male, then there's one in the blue square. So for females, you're going to take first your weight in kilograms, and then you're going to multiply that by 10. So I have here an example of a female that is 28 years old, and she is 53 kilos, and she is 154 centimeters. So that is my example here. If some of you need conversion help, on the top is here a conversion. If you need to convert pounds to kilos, then you divide the pounds by 2.2. And then if you need to convert inches to centimeters, you're going to multiply the inches by 2.54. So let's first start with the weight. So we'll take our weight in kilograms. So for me, I have this female that is 53 kilos. So I'm going to take 53 for that example, and I'm going to multiply that by 10. That is going to come to 530. Then with that, I'm going to take her height in centimeters. So that is 154 centimeters. And I'm going to multiply that by 6.25. And that's going to give me 962. From there, I'm going to subtract, and I want to take her age, 28. So I'm going to take how old she is, 28. I'm going to multiply that by 5. That is 140. And then lastly, I'm going to subtract 161. So now if I add the 530, I add 962, I subtract 140, and I subtract 161, I'm going to get 1,191 calories. So that is a basic basal metabolic rate for a 28-year-old female. So that is how many calories this female burns without doing nothing. To convert it to, because we do move, we get out of bed. So we have to convert this to what's called the total daily energy expenditure, also seen there as TDEE. So you will take that 1,191 calories, and then you're going to multiply that depending on what your level is. So we have few different levels here. So if you have a job, or if you usually just sit most of the day and you have a desk job and you just sometimes exercise, then you want to use the first one where you will multiply by 1.2. If you are more active, you probably train 1 to 2 times a week, then you would want to multiply it by 1.3. If you are moderate in your training, you would want to multiply that by 1.4. If you're working out about 4 to 5 days a week, then 1.5. And then if you're athlete, 1.8. So from here, I'm going to take my BMR and I'm going to multiply it 1.5 because this female works out 4 to 5 times a week. And with that, if I multiply that, that's going to give me the 1,786 calories. So that is total, that is burn, including the workouts in there. And if this female, if her goal is to lose weight, then I'm going to take 20% out of that number. So to take 20% out, I'm going to multiply this number by 0.8. And that's going to put this female in caloric deficit. so then you can lose weight. And that number is 1,429 calories. If you wanted to stay the same, you didn't want to lose the weight, you're happy exactly where your physique is, you like it, you like your weight, then you would stay. You would stay right at 1,786 calories. If you wanted to maybe gain, if you wanted to gain some muscle, be stronger, then you would add 20% and you would multiply this number by 1.2. And I just want to share with anyone here that I am gonna make this presentation available as well. So if anybody would like a copy of it, I'll share my contact information at the end. So then you can have this formula in case you are not somewhere where you can calculate this for yourself. All right, so with that, we have calculated the daily number. So we know that this female needs 1,429 calories. But now our goal is going to be to break it down to the macros. How do we now break it down? To set the protein, to set the fat, and then set the carbs. So here is how you break it down. So for your personal protein macro formula, we already said that she is 130 pounds and we are doing 1 pound of protein, 1 gram of protein for 1 pound. So that's going to be 130 grams of protein for this specific female. With that, you want to set your fat at 30%. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the total intake that we just calculated, 1,429 was in my example, and I'm going to take 30% of that. That number, it's going to come up to 429, which that's going to be the calories for fat per day. And we have learned that fat is 9 grams per 1 gram. So I'm going to take the 429 and I'm going to divide that by 9. And that's going to give me 48. So now I know that the fat needs to be at 48. And for the carbs will just fill out the remaining difference. So I'm going to take 1,429. I'm going to subtract 520 calories for protein. I'm going to subtract 429 calories for the fat, and I'm going to be left with 480 calories. So 480 calories is what this female can have in carbs. And to get it to grams, I divided this by 4, and that's going to give me 120 grams of carbs. So for this specific example, we have 130 grams of protein, 48 grams of fat, and 120 grams of protein or carbs, 120 grams of carbs. All right, so let's look at the daily meal planning, because now you have the total calories, you know what macros you should be eating, but then how you divide it throughout the day. Big mistake that I see is that you don't eat it strategically throughout the day. You don't eat your meals scheduled. Maybe you wait until 3 p.m. and that's really your first meal, or you don't even eat before you go to the gym. Those are big no-nos, because you will not see the result. And why would you want to work so hard for something and then not get the result? So make sure that you have this nutrition down and you can fuel your body properly. So how to divide your macros across the day. So here's an example of a diet plan that it's 4 meals and then 1 protein shakes. So you have 5 occasions that you can eat for those 5 occasions. So we're going to take your total protein intake and we're going to divide that by 5. And that's going to be my target. So every meal, I'm going to try to hit that amount. So if our example was 130 and I divide that by 5, that's about 26 grams of protein. So every meal that I have, every day, 5 meals should have around 26 grams of protein. For the carbs, so it's smart to eat carbs in the morning before your workout because your body has time throughout the day to burn it. You don't really want to eat a lot of carbs in the evening because you don't have time to burn it. You're going to bed, your body's not going to work. So if you eat carbs at night or in bed, then it's just going to store it. It's just going to become fat. So it's not good for your fat. So you want to keep your fat lower throughout the day and then you keep it higher at night. So then you keep full, you stay full because fat has a higher calorie uh, amount. It's 9 calories for 1 gram. You will stay full the whole night, and you're not going to feel hungry because you didn't eat carbs. So that's the trick that you have in the evening where you don't have carbs, but instead you switch to fats. But it's healthy fats. It is the healthy ones. But stay consistent with every meal. Be strategic. Eat before training, and then eat a little bit less in the evening. Some of the timing and the energy transformation. So, carbs before training equals energy. Energy transform equals muscle build. No fuel, no result. Heavy training. So, for example, on leg days, you can eat a little bit more carbs before you work out. You will need that energy. Energy will be transformed to a fuel and then a muscle power, and then a muscle will be built. Bigger carb meal 1 to 2 hours before your training. Post workout, carb plus protein to rebuild and replenish. So even after your workout, you want to have a little bit of carb. The energy transformation principle: food equals fuel, fuel equals energy, energy equals power to train hard. Training damages muscle fibers, protein rebuilds them bigger. So that's the key. That's the key. Carb spares protein so protein can go to building muscle. No fuel in, body breaks down the muscle for energy. So don't starve because not only you're not going to get result, but you're going to work backwards. For your rest days, keep your carbs low. You don't need the extra energy. Body already has enough glycogen stored. Higher fat meals are fine. Fat digests slowly. It's more satiety. Great night for salmon, steak, almonds with veggies. So avocado with veggies. Those are some of the great things that you can eat in the evening. The mistakes many people make: eating almost nothing, and then they're training hard, and then they don't see results. Body cannot build lean muscle without the adequate fuel. Lifting does not make you bulky, it makes you look toned. Eat enough protein, carbs to support your training goals. And with this, I also want to address, there's a lot of peptides out there like GLP-1 and all those things where, yeah, maybe you're losing weight, but are you losing the weight in the right way? Is your body looking how you wanted it to look? Or are you just starving yourself? So think about the tools that you are using. I'm not saying it's bad, but think about the results that you want to achieve. I'm sure it's very great for some people that cannot lose weight and maybe they're all the way there. So it's a great starting point. But at some point, you're going to have to dial the nutrition in if you want to stay healthy, if you want to live long time. This is not just about how your physique looks, but this is about your longevity. This is about your overall health. This is how your body will be fueled the best it needs to be on a healthy base. And even if you take the supplements, at some point you will get out of those and you will need a plan. You will need something sustainable to keep you where you are at. And this is what I have been doing for years. I have started working out when I was 13 years old, but this is what gets me in shape. every time without a fail. So anyway, all right, here are some recommended food sources. So we have protein. So what is protein? Chicken breast, turkey, can be tuna, any fish, salmon, egg whites, Greek yogurt, whey protein, cottage cheese, beef jerky, shrimp. So those are some examples of protein. Some examples of carbs. We have brown rice, oatmeal, sweet potato, rice cake, whole wheat bread, fruits, yuca, purple yams, cream of rice, bran cereal, popcorn. Fats, avocado, salmon, whole eggs, nuts and nut butter, olive oil, steak. We want to stay with the lean cuts, sardines, the 100-calorie guac, it's like a little cup that you can get, coconut oil. For fibers, beans, lentils, broccoli, spinach, berries, oatmeal, brown rice, nuts, flax seeds, whole grains, baked potato, and vegetables. All right, here are some try on swap foods. So here's a couple examples that I just put on. So this is where you really see the difference. Sometimes it's not really about like counting these macros all together, but really starting paying attention. What is in this food that I'm buying? What is in this label? And then starting to do these swaps for better foods. So, for example, here is a tortilla. You have a regular tortilla that is 150 calories and it has about 20 grams of carbs. There is a healthy alternative that's called the Mission Carb Balance. That's only 70 calories. It only has 3 to 4 net carbs, and you can feel the same result. Switching pasta to a chickpea pasta, huge difference, because not only you eliminate most of the carbs in there, but you increase your protein intake as well. Another great food swap is just a regular white bread. So instead of eating regular white bread that's full of carbs, there is a bread called Ezekiel bread that has actually some protein in it. It doesn't have any sugar. It's all whole wheat, so it's really good on a fiber intake as well. So it's a great alternative, and you still get to eat bread, and you're gonna look amazing. What yogurt? So instead of just eating regular yogurt, Oikos makes a great yogurts with a lot of protein in them. So trying those little swaps will make a big difference in your diet. Protein powders. So what to look for in your protein powders? Not all protein powders are the same. Some are full of sugar and junk. So here is how you choose. So whey isolate, it should have between 20 to 28% or grams of protein. It's best post-workout. It should have low fat and low carbs. There should be very little carbs, maybe 1 to 2 grams of sugar. It should be nothing like that. Casein protein. So casein protein is great for evening. So if you are, for example, lifting at night, like I am lifting at night, casein is great for me to have as a night supplement. It typically is between 24 and 26 grams of protein. It's slow digesting protein, so it will keep you full overnight, and it's best before bed. And then you have some plant-based option. Those are typically about 20 to 21 protein, made out of pea, rice blend. They're dairy-free. They're very good for sensitive stomach, but it is difficult to find a good tasting one in the plant-based. Some of the red flags you should be looking on the labels and avoiding these ingredients are sucralose or corn syrup, maltodextrin, artificial colors, red 10 or yellow 5, and then any proprietary blend, hidden ingredients, amount, artificial sweeteners, those things you want to kind of cut it out. My thing is, if I don't understand what it says, then I'm not getting it. Another good alternative, it's peanut butter versus PB2 powder. So PB2 powder, it's a powder that really, if you mix it with something, it tastes like peanut butter. You can eat it with like yogurt or cottage cheese, or you can mix it with any like spread, or you can put it in your shake. But it is a great alternative. Peanut butter is always good. It's a good source of healthy fat. But one thing with peanut butter, it's so high in calories that you have to be very cautious with your portions. The size will matter a lot. So if you look at 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, it's 190 calories and it's 16 grams of fat. So really, like throughout the day, you should only have maybe max 4, and then you're out. If you wanted to still get like the taste of peanut butter, you can use this powder, which has only 50 to 60 calories and it only has 1.5 grams of fat. It still has some protein in it, so 6 to 7 grams. So it's a good alternative. I'm not saying that peanut butter is bad, but I'm saying be cautious about the portion because it can get up there. All right, here's an example for a little grocery list. So here is what you could purchase. So some specific products that you can look for on your next grocery run. Some dairy and protein, like we mentioned, like the Oikos yogurt. There's another fake yogurt is pretty good. Egg whites, cottage cheese. For bread and wraps, like the Ezekiel bread, the Mission Carb Balance tortillas. There's also a couple other options there for you. Some pasta examples and some protein powders as well. The transparent labs weight isolate, I would definitely recommend. Isopure, zero carb whey. It literally has no carbs, it's just protein. And it also comes unflavored. Like if some of you don't like the flavor and you don't like it, there is some alternatives to it as well. But always check and make sure that the sugar in there is very low because you don't want to get something that looks like a protein shake and it's not, and it's not. So be careful with that and always read the nutrition labels. Here's an example for like a sample full day of eating, how it should look like. So if we go back to our example of a 130-pound female, her total calories was 1,429 calories. We wanted to stay within 130 grams of protein, 48 grams of fat, and 120 grams of carbs. So we divided it where we wanted to keep the protein between 25 and 30 grams per serving for 5 different meals. And then we divided it where the carbs are heavier in the morning and there's a little bit less of them at night. And for fats, we have lower fats throughout the day and really heavy for our last meal so you don't feel hungry in the evening. So here's example of meal 1. 2 eggs, 2 egg whites, 1 cup of oatmeal, some raspberries, coffee. If you want milk, that's fine. Then next you have pre-workout meal. So for this one, you have 3 ounces of chicken, 100 grams of brown rice, 80 grams of mixed veggies. For post-workout meal, so this is more like a shake. So a scoop of a protein powder with water, or you can do also milk. But with the milk, I would recommend be careful on like the lactose. A lot of people have issues with that. I have this great brand that I use. It's called Fairlife. Fairlife. So it's very good with if you get like the lower fat option. It has a lot of protein in it as well, and it's really pasteurized and it's super low on calories. So I don't love very much almond milk that the taste anymore, and especially like in my coffee or that. But you can use some of that. Just use it in your formula there, and then 1 banana. For meal 4, we have Oikos yogurt, the tortilla, some tuna, but you can do chicken or whatever you want. You can do fish, or make it into little tacos. Avocado, you can add some lettuce to it, but have some fun with it. Any vegetables are really not going to increase any of your calories very much. So that's where you can play with and add on some things to it to spice it up. And then last meal, that's going to be the heavy one for your fat, so you stay longer. So this example is 4 ounces of salmon, large salad with 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and then avocado. So maybe made into a salad. But you can also do like steak with like a stir fry or something like that. But you want to make sure that your fat are higher so then you don't feel hungrier throughout the day. But this is a sample that I have created. It really works well. It is very sustainable because you calculate exactly what your body needs. And I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot of math, but you only calculate this once. And then you learn how to hit this. Eventually, you're going to learn, okay, this is what I eat. I have my specific meals that I eat, and you're going to be comfortable with that. But if you don't know where you are, if you don't know where your body is burning right now, if you don't know what you're eating, then how do you really want to get to your goal? It doesn't make sense. You have to know what is your starting point, where do I want to get there, and how. And this is the bridge. And I'm telling you, nutrition is 80% of the success. I do bodybuilding, I do a lot of the shows, so we take it to even more extreme than anyone really needs to. But if you always dreamed of having a toned body, you have to go through this. You have to kind of calculate it. You have to know where you are. And you don't need to track everything every day. You don't need to be logging everything on MyFitnessPal, but create a baseline. So if I know that I have 3 ounces of chicken, then I can probably swap it for steak or for fish. It can be something like that. It will work fine because you're not getting ready for any, bodybuilding show, so you don't need to be super toned. But having the schedule and having those meals where you always have the protein, where you have the high carbs in the morning and higher fats at night, and kind of knowing what you're eating, starting to looking at the labels and kind of understanding. um, Good practice and good exercise, it's to maybe download MyFitnessPal and just do it for a week. Just try to track what you really eat, just so you know where you're at, and then you will learn what each food is. And that is really how I got into nutrition, is that I started paying attention of what is in this, and then I started noticing such a different results when I do pay attention to it. I transform like that. It's amazing. Okay, moving on with that. So, some of the habits that will kill your progress. Number one is going to be liquid calories. So, sodas have over 40 grams of sugar. It doesn't have anything. It's like you're just drinking sugar. No. Fruit juice, the same. It's nothing. Most of them don't even consist of fruit. It's something just is no good. Fancy coffee drinks, like some of the Starbucks drinks, they can have 300 to 500 calories. Alcohol will disrupt your metabolism. If you want to use alcohol, you should subtract 7 calories per gram of whatever you're doing with the alcohol, but you want to subtract that. So if you're a drinker, then you're going to eat less carbs, or less of that, because you had 2 glasses of wine. So you have to include that. But I tell you, it does really slows down your metabolism a lot. Anytime when I drink, it takes me about 3 to 4 days where my metabolism resets. So I try not to drink because I know it really hurts my progress. Hidden sugar traps are this. You'll see a label at store that says low fat, but the low fat is because they added sugar. So it's no good. No low fat foods are usually good because they're just full of sugar. And in return, if you look at sugar free, it's loaded with fat because it has to be made out of something. It cannot be made out of air. So don't fall for this trap. Flavored yogurts, granola bars, protein powders with sugar, be careful with those. Portion traps, we have peanut butter. So that is one thing that I was careful with, like the 2 tablespoons, and have the measure, because you think that you know how much 2 tablespoons are, but I guarantee you it's way less than you think it is. Nuts, you can eat a whole bag of nuts, but those are same as peanut butter. You can easily overeat it. Olive oil as well. And then we have the mindset trap. I'll start Monday. Start with your next meal, all or nothing. Or you think that if you ate bad meal at lunch, you might as well just ruin the whole day. That's not how it works. And then if you want to have a day, plan for that day. Even if you eat healthy 5 days a week, let's say Monday through Friday, you're going to eat healthy, you're going to commit to this, and you say, you know what, I'm at work anyway, I'm going to kind of meal prep. It's going to make it easier. I'm probably going to save some money. Everything's going to be better organized. You eat healthy Monday through Friday. Cool. Saturday and Sunday, I'll let it loosey-goosey. Keep it healthy. You're still going to have way better results than whatever you're doing now. I promise you. Alrighty. With your action plan. So here is the action plan from today. So number 1 step is to calculate your basal metabolic rate using the 2 formulas, depending on if you are male or if you're female. Then you want to multiply that by your activity level to find your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure. And then you would want to subtract about 20%, I would say, for fat loss, add about 20% for muscle gain, and leave it the same for maintenance. Set your protein at 1 gram per pound of your body weight. Set your fat at 30% of your total caloric intake, and then carbs will fill the rest. Then you will divide your protein evenly across 4 to 5 meals a day. You want to time your carbs around training, more before, after, and then less at night. Number 7, drink a gallon of water daily. Log everything in Fitness Mile, maybe for a week, so you can see it, what it is. And then balance and consistency will get you the result. Don't start tomorrow, and start today. So that is what I have for you for this beautiful nutrition workshop. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Again, I know it's a lot of information. I know it's a lot of calculation, but you need that. You need to know where you're at. You need to know where you need to be, and you need to know what you're doing, because otherwise you're not going to get the results. I am open to give this presentation to anyone out there. So here is my email address. So if you would like to receive a copy of this presentation because you just didn't get to do the calculations, then please look at it and send me an email and just say, hey, I want to receive this presentation from you, Yana. I was at your nutrition workshop, or whatever you just wanted, that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. I always just want to help everyone out here to get what they need. And it took me a long time. It took me a long time to figure it out. And I don't want anyone else to struggle for 20 years to figure this out. So you can always reach out to me. With that, I also have a QR code here for you. So if you wanted to maybe get some more information, or you don't want to create this plan by yourself, you don't know how to do it, you need some help with it, or even help with working out, here's a link as well. You can go on this link and you can book a discovery call with me. What the discovery call is, it's ultimately me going through where you're currently at and seeing how I can help, what I can do for you. I specialize in nutrition and workout plans, and then I can also recommend some healthy supplements. But my goal is to get anyone into the best shape of their life that they have been. And it's the accountability and the support that you receive that's going to make the difference here. But with that, I'll leave this on for just a few minutes. And if you'd like to book this call, just scan the QR code on the top there, or you can go to the link down there, yanasnashilova.onlinecoaching.io/discovery. And with that, you'll have a complimentary call with me where we can discuss your issues and what you are going through.